Eat my shit!
It is one of the worst forms of verbal abuse. But paradoxically, for most of the people living like good neighbors in the villages of India, eating each other's shit is a living reality, a veritable fact of life. Every sixth person living on this earth is an Indian. Some 1100 million people inhabit India, and around 700 million of them defecate in the open. An estimated 217,000 tons of fecal material is deposited across the country every single day. And all this shit comes back in different ways to the people themselves who engage in open defecation, and also to many who do not. In order to provide safe water and sanitation services in rural areas, the government of India has spent around $13 billion since independence, but with little impact. Rampant open defecation and diarrhea deaths continue unabated. There has been a growing urgency to intensify the battle against open defecation. As per the Human Development Report 2006, around 450,000 children in India under the age of 5 die of diarrhea every year. And who doesn't know? Water-carrying fecal contamination is the culprit. Needless to say, this called for a new strategy. Given the fact that the earlier approaches did not yield the desired results, community-led total sanitation, popularly known as CLTS, emerged as a powerful alternative to fight out the practice of open defecation. It was radical. It was developed by Kamal Kar.
This is an innovative approach, and this approach is an approach which empowers community to really take action, collective local action, and improve their own environmental sanitation.
This approach believes in constructing people rather than toilets. People who can analyze their own situation and work out local solutions. The fact that it works is attracting a large number of agencies and people working in the field of sanitation. CLTS is usually introduced through training of trainers' workshops to begin with. These workshops focus on triggering change on the ground in the villages. As a result, most of the activity is in the field with local communities. Only a small part of the workshop activity is within the four walls of the classroom, but it is significant in terms of consolidating the learning at the ground level. The real learning and change, however, go beyond the simulation exercises held here. The CLTS facilitators know it pretty well that they have to encounter prying eyes and strange looks from people as they enter the village on their mission. At times there is an apparent mistrust in the eyes of the people, as if they want to know as to what is up now. Then there are humorous exchanges. Soon enough, facilitators and people mingle with each other, knocking off initial hesitation and misgiving. Discomfort disappears, and people come forward to take part in the discussions freely. The facilitators have already imbibed the message that they have to listen to people rather than talk. They help people analyze their own situation and help them explore and initiate the required collective action on their own. To find out the real story, there is an attempt to track as to who sits where for defecation. This is done by drawing a map of the defecation areas and practices on the ground. The map is drawn by the people themselves. This map is known as the defecation map. After the defecation map, people are asked to calculate the fecal material being left open in the village on a daily basis. If 200 people in the village go out for open defecation, some 100 kilograms of fecal material is released in the open on one single day, 200 kilograms in 2 days, and 3,000 kilograms in a month. Some 3 to 4 truckloads of fecal material from a single village itself. Facilitators ask the people to take them to defecation areas. But why are people so slow and their steps so uncertain? Is it because the path ahead is full of shit? But all this is your own doing, isn't it? Don't feel like moving ahead? Feeling ashamed in front of outsiders? That's why this walk is known as Walk of Shame.
It is rather a story of no open defecation. And this no open defecation, nobody is allowed to defecate in the open, is this rule is imposed by the community themselves.
And then in the course of analysis comes up the big question as to where does the feces go? It is revealed that some people sit for defecation close to the water source itself, some by the side of the road, and in fact all over the place in and around the village. A sense of collective shame is writ large on the faces of the people. This is followed by a grim silence. No words are exchanged. People through their own analysis discover that open defecation practically means eating each other's shit. Flies invariably bring the fecal material back to us. And not only flies, dogs, chicken, goats and cows as well bridge the gap between us and the feces. Wandering around the village, these animals are constantly engaged in transporting shit from one place to another in various ways. And to top it all, Jal, the water offered to the deity, is the same suspect water. What a plight! At many places, even cows have reportedly started consuming fecal material, and their milk is being consumed by us. During rains, feces get mixed up in the water sources directly. These could be a stream, a dug well, a pond, a river or a spring. And then the water, instead of being the elixir of life, turns into slow poison. Incidence of diarrhea is caused by such contaminated water. Around 20 children would have lost their lives due to diarrhea in India by the time you finish watching this film. Waterborne diseases such as diarrhea, dysentery, cholera, jaundice, etc. are not only responsible for avoidable morbidity and mortality, but also turn out to be a big financial drain on the affected households, particularly poor people with limited resources. Thousands of rupees are spent on medical care. Available evidence indicates that total elimination of open defecation brings down the incidence of diarrhea considerably, and water free from fecal contamination reduces the possibility of illness by over 50%. Hence, water free from fecal contamination is the water of life. But how to test the water to assess whether it is free from fecal contamination? H2S vials are used to test water. The vial is filled up with the water to be tested and is kept at a safe place out of the reach of children. If the water turns black within 24 to 48 hours, it indicates that the water carries bacteriological contamination. This helps people realize that they are consuming water carrying fecal material and they need to put an end to open defecation, which is the primary source of this contamination. The vial carrying contaminated water is then buried in the ground. The CLTS practitioners are trained only to facilitate. They are not supposed to teach, preach or prescribe. All they are supposed to do is to make people think, help them analyze, and also to look for natural leaders emerging in the village itself. These are the ones with passion to stand up against the evil of open defecation. And those people are there. They carry the smouldering embers within, and all one needs to do is to stoke the fire. Krishna from Jajarot village in district Mandi is one such person. She got the women together and resolved to act immediately. There are many like Krishna who are leading the movement of sanitation in their respective villages across Himachal Pradesh in India and elsewhere.
तो मुझ में इतनी आग भर दी कमलकार सर जी ने कि मैं रुक ना सका यहाँ पर, और मैं 50-60 किलोमीटर दूर मेरे घर हैं, मैं वहाँ चला गया और रात को मैंने 8 बजे पहुँचा, मैंने खाना खाया और मैंने अपनी लैट्रिन खोदना शुरू कर दी और 11 बजे तक मैंने खड्डा तैयार कर दिया। सवेरे मैं यहाँ 11 बजे पहुँचा, 6 बजे से लेकर के 10 बजे तक मैंने वो कंप्लीट कर दी। तो क्या वो आग नहीं है? आग है हम में भी, हम कर सकते हैं ये। बार बस मैंने घर वालों की तरह कहा कि आप नहीं यहाँ पे बैठना। उन्होंने कहा कि क्या बात है, ऐसी बात क्या हो गई, आप ट्रेनिंग किस ट्रेनिंग के लिए जा रहे हैं? मैंने कहा आज मेरे पास वक्त नहीं है बताने के लिए, आप बस बैठो, इसमें बैठना है, आपने इसमें बैठना है, किसी ने बाहर नहीं बैठ जाना है। वापस आकर के बताऊंगा और मैं ये वायदा करता हूँ कि मेरा जो गाँव है उसे मैं 10 दिनों के अंदर बाहर हगना बंद करा दूंगा।
गूप वगैरह वहाँ का बंद करवा देती हूँ तो मुझे क्या नाम मिलेगा? तो मैं तो ये समझती हूँ कि इनको सबसे बड़ा नाम तो यही मिलेगा कि ना तो खुद गू खाएगी और ना किसी दूसरे को खाने देगी। इससे बढ़िया हमें और क्या मिल सकता है?
तो किलो से शुरू हुए, क्विंटल पे पहुंचे और बाद में टन में पहुंच गए। और मैं इतना हैरान हुआ कि मैं वहाँ का प्रधान हूँ और मैं यानी कि सोच भी नहीं सकता था कि इतने टनों के हिसाब से 1 महीने में, यानी कि वो जो गू है जो पूरा वो क्लाइमेट को और पूरे आसपास और गाय और ये कुत्ते वगैरह सब खा रहे। मुझे इतनी हैरानी है इस बात की। मैंने तो ये सोचा कि मैं तो अगर हफ्ता महीना 1.5 महीना जितनी जल्दी से जल्दी हो सकता है यानी कि उसको टोटल फ्री कराऊं।
दावा करने की बात नहीं, उसके बाद तो खैर जाएंगे नहीं, भले हम कच्ची सी लैट्रिन बनाएंगे, खड्डा बनाएंगे, लेकिन आज से हमने बंद बिल्कुल।
अभी इस गांव में भी वो उन्होंने खड्डे अपने आप 1 दिन में खोदना शुरू कर दिए कि हम बाहर जाना बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं करेंगे।
2 ड्रम से ठीक है, मतलब उसके बाद हमने इसको पक्का खड्डा देके बनाना है।
अब ना पंचायत का प्रधान उप प्रधान है, वार्ड सदस्य नहीं हूँ, फिर भी मेरी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि मैं अपने गांव के लोगों को स्वच्छ रहने के लिए प्रेरित करूँ।
CLTS exercises such as defecation map, walk of shame, calculation of fecal material, calculation of medical expenditure, and flow diagram of fecal-oral transmission routes can be done in any sequence as per local requirements. But the most important thing in the process is the ignition moment. It is the moment when there is a collective community realization that open defecation amounts to eating each other's shit and that the open defecation must be stopped immediately. The facilitator has to recognize this moment and thank the villagers for the analysis and seek their permission to leave. It is critical not to be prescriptive. The facilitator has to refrain from offering any advice, either for constructing toilets or stopping open defecation. At this juncture, people often seek the help of facilitators in terms of ideas and information about how to end open defecation. People at times also say that the toilets are costly and everyone in the community may not be able to afford one. In response to this, the facilitator draws a simple direct pit latrine on a chart paper, a low-cost option as used by others in other villages. This breaks the myth that a toilet is expensive and unaffordable, and that it can take 15 to 20,000 rupees to construct one. It establishes that a toilet can be constructed even in 100 to 200 rupees, in fact, even in less than that. What people, particularly the poor, often do can be termed a sanitation ladder, where they start with simple low-cost toilets and gradually move up the ladder with more sophisticated designs, both in the substructure and the superstructure. The people innovate their own toilet designs. But these toilets have to be made by the people themselves, without any subsidy from outside. Subsidy is more of a hindrance than help. So people themselves arrive at the conclusion that they need to construct and use latrines. There is no coercion, no cajoling. To begin with, there are generally 4 types of outcomes of CLTS exercises on the ground. Matchbox in a gas station refers to a situation where everyone agrees to stop open defecation and start the action immediately. Promising flames is the situation where most of the people have agreed to stop open defecation, but a sizable section is still undecided. Scattered sparks is the situation where the majority is undecided, but few individuals in the community agree to act promptly. Damp matchbox is the situation where CLTS exercises are not able to trigger any positive response at all. In most of the cases, the demand is generated, and once the demand is there, facilitators start helping the community members in planning and monitoring their activities to end open defecation. Villagers form their sanitation committee and start monitoring the process. The follow-up activities, such as mobilizing natural leaders, sharing of different technology options, and of information related to supplies as per demand of the community, are critical for achieving an open defecation-free environment.